Good day to our teacher Ma'am Lado and to our fellow classmates. Today my groupmates and I in the third group will discuss about our topic, which is the Buddhist Moral Philosophy. The members of this group are as follows: Mejorada Allen Isaiah Tindak, Noble Franca Kayla Denise, Pangasian Ayan, Paderog Fanny Valle, Omagtang Rosalyn B, Orbeta Projan Ray O. II, Ochavillo John Tristan M. These are our table of contents. First is the ultimate goal of Buddhism, the Noble Eightfold Path, the Four Noble Truths, the Three Universal Truths, the Five Precepts, the practice of meditation, and the difference between the Western and Buddhism model of ethics. A brief background of Buddhism. Buddhism is a philosophy of life expounded by Gautama Buddha. Buddha means enlightened one, who lived and taught in northern India in the 6th century BC. The Buddha was not a god, and the philosophy of Buddhism does not entail any theistic worldview. The teachings of the Buddha are aimed solely at liberating sentient beings from suffering. And we as people, of course, know Buddha because of his iconic look, and he is often represented as a person of which his followers aspire to be. The ultimate goal of Buddhism. If you talk about an ultimate goal, it sounds as if it's something that an individual has prepared since the day he or she is born. All religions in the world contain an ultimate goal, in which, in their belief, would help them live a good and peaceful life before death, and in most cases, it would result to a reward into the afterlife, and Buddhism is no different to the others. The ultimate goal of Buddhism, the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path is released from the round of phenomenal existence with its inherent suffering. To achieve this goal is to attain Nirvana, an enlightened state in which the fires of greed, hatred, and ignorance have been quenched. It is the state to which all Buddhists aspire. It is described as the cessation of desire and hence the end of suffering. Nirvana is a Sanskrit, means the blowing out, or in simple terms, to release one's suffering. It may sound as something to remove as a part of having a peaceful life. There are terms for people who achieve the ultimate goal, and they are an arhat, as a person who attained nirvana, and is also called an enlightened Buddhist monk. In Sanskrit, it means one who is worthy. A bodhisattva is a person who has the ability to attain nirvana but delays it in order to help others. The word means one whose goal is awakening. So the difference between an arhat and a bodhisattva is that a bodhisattva remains to not attain nirvana in order to help others that also want to achieve nirvana. In achieving nirvana, one must abstain from any self-pleasures that will cause hindrance. Thus, followers are...
At this moment, we're gonna talk all about the Noble Eightfold Path of Buddhism. The Eightfold Path, although referred to as steps on a path, is not meant as a sequential learning process, but as 8 aspects of life, all of which are to be integrated in everyday life. In Buddhism, the Eightfold Path is meant as guidelines to be considered, to be contemplated, and to be taken on when, and only when, each step fully accepted as part of life you seek. Buddhism never asks for blind faith, it seeks to promote learning and a process of self-discovery. As what I mentioned earlier, the Eightfold Path is all about different steps of self-discovery, which means it focuses on your own self-growth or self-development to become a better individual. The Noble Eightfold Path, it had a 3 division: the division of wisdom, the division of ethical conduct, and the division of mental discipline. First, we're gonna discuss about the division of wisdom. Every time we heard about the word wisdom, it comes to our mind that it is all about new knowledge or a new learning. In Buddhism, they define wisdom as a is all about realizing the true nature of reality, seeing things as they are, not as they appear. This wisdom is not bound by conceptual knowledge. It must be intimately experienced to be understood. That's how Buddhism defined the word wisdom. Under the division of wisdom, it had two rights, right view and right thinking. Right view is the existence of suffering and pain due to the greed and the desire for power, pleasure, and positions. A direct personal experience will then lead us to right understanding. There is no separate individual self. We are all part of one. Right view, it tells us on how we see the reality and the results of pain and suffering in this world. Our own experience will give us a right understanding because every time we experience new things, it will give us a chance to learn from it or to understand those things that happening in yourself that can help us to develop ourselves as an individual. Let's proceed to right thinking. Right thinking, give up what is wrong and evil, undertake what is good, abandon thoughts having to do with bringing suffering to any being, cultivate thoughts of loving kindness based on caring of others, suffering and joy in others' happiness, ourselves from those wrong dealings in life, but instead, let's bring love and compassion to all of us. And let's gonna proceed to the second division of the Eightfold Path, which is the division of ethical conduct. But first, let's gonna define what is ethical conduct. So, ethical conduct means to refrain from doing harm. It applies to both monastics and lay followers because all of us need to refrain from harming ourselves and others in order to progress on the path and to create peace in the lives of those around us. So that's how Buddhism defines ethical conduct. Under the division of ethical conduct, it had a three right. The right the right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Right speech is abstain from telling lies, abstain to talk that creates hatred or disharmony between individuals or in a group, abstain from harsh, rude, impolite, or abusive language. Practice kindly speech, meaningful speech, and harmonious speech. So, in right speech, it is about being honest with your words or the way you talk to other people. We already know that words can be a weapon to motivate other people or a weapon to destroy and hurt others. But in Buddhism, you should try your best to have those words that are beneficial and can help other people that surrounds you. You should try to promote harmony and value the silence. It is like living with the personality of a Pinocchio, like being honest all the way out. And you should avoid gossiping other people. Let's proceed to right action. Abstain from dishonest dealings. Foster what is good, peaceful, and honorable. Do things that are moral and honest that end suffering. So, in right action, it is like looking the way you act towards other people. As what I remember, there's a saying that action speaks louder than words because through our action, we can express what we feel deep inside. That's why we must try to act accordingly and properly to end some dishonest dealings and suffering. Let's gonna proceed to the last right in the division of ethical conduct, the right livelihood. Right livelihood: abstain from making living from those activities or occupations that bring harm and suffering to humans or animals. All of us need to survive, or we can say that every single creature in this world need to survive. That's why you don't need to become unfair or harm those things that surrounds you just to live, but instead do those things that are beneficial to all of us. Let's gonna proceed to the last division of the Eightfold Path, the division of mental discipline. But first, let's gonna define what is mental discipline. Mental discipline is constituted by those elements pertaining to a Buddhist practitioner's vigilant efforts to perfect their minds through concerted meditation practice. Under the division of mental discipline are the three rights: right, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. First, let's gonna tackle about right effort. Right effort: work on yourself, engage in self-improvement. Everything must be done with sense of proper balance between trying too hard and not trying too hard enough. In right effort, it is like doing those things that you started continually, like positive effort to think and positive effort to act. In addition, it is like doing your best for yourself to achieve those things that you already started to do. And let's proceed to the right mindfulness. Right mindfulness: build right attention, systematically and intentionally develop awareness. In right mindfulness, like creating an awareness of those things that surrounds you and yourself, and being focused of those things as they are. And let's proceed to the last right, right concentration. Develop it by practicing meditation. Meditation must be done continuously. Meditation should include awareness of body, emotions, thought, and mind objects. In right concentration, it's about practicing some meditation to calm your mind and develop some positive emotion like love and kindness. Before I'm going to end my part in our reporting, let's gonna have a short recap. The Noble Eightfold Path are the right view, right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
Four Noble Truths: the noble truth of suffering, the noble truth of the cause of suffering, the noble truth of the end of suffering, and the noble truth of the path that free us from suffering. Four of these are the Four Noble Truths. And the first one is dukkha, the noble truth of suffering. The first noble truth is that life contains inevitable and avoidable suffering, and in which all of us experience in our day-to-day lives. We suffer. This suffering encompasses the gross of forms of pain, illness, and trauma we can all imagine, such as a broken leg, stomach flu, grappling with the devastation of a hurricane, or the violent death of a loved one. It also includes milder but common forms of discomfort and distress, like long hours of work, feeling let down by a partner, a headache, feeling frustrated, disappointed, hurt, inadequate, depressed, upset, and etc. So, the truth about suffering is that all of us experience it, whether it be small or a large one, from what we see in the examples in the presentation. And samudaya, the second and the noble truth of the cause of suffering. The second noble truth describes the principal cause of suffering. The bad news is that we suffer, yet the good news is that there is a prime cause clinging that we can address. And like most of what people taught us most of what people taught us is that there's a reason behind every suffering, and there are lots of words that get at different aspects of clinging. There are lots of words that get at different aspects of clinging. For example, the original Pali word is tanha, the root meaning of which is thirst, desire, striving, craving, stuck, attachment, wanting, grasping, righteous, positional, seeking, obsessed, hunger, searching, addicted, and needing. These are all words that describe what we self-indulge. Nirodha, the noble truth of the end of suffering. The third noble truth comes directly from the second one. The end of suffering comes with the end of clinging. As Achaan Shah said, if you let go a little, you'll have a little happiness. If you let go a lot, you'll have a lot of happiness. If you let go completely, you'll be completely happy. You can do this at the macro level, in letting go, regarding lights turning green, or payments arriving, or your teenage child giving you a hug. Sure, you'd like those things to turn out well, and that's fine. You take practical steps toward them turning out well, and that's also fine. But you can simultaneously have a peaceful, accepting attitude about however it turns out, and you can let go, practicing non-clinging, most fundamentally at the micro level, with moment-to-moment experience. So in the third noble truth is the end of suffering, which means that from the end of suffering, we can have most likely a peaceful moment after what we experience, as like they can attest. It feels as if we are suffering from mental issues, and after we take the test and exam, we feel enlightened or we feel happy. The fourth is Magga, the noble truth of the path that frees us from suffering. The final noble truth is that the Buddha prescription for the end of suffering. This is a set of principles called the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is also called the middle way. It avoids both indulgence and severe asceticism, neither of which the Buddha has found helpful in his search for enlightenment. And it has already been discussed by my group mates in the previous slide.
Truths. What are the three universal truths? First, nothing is loose in the universe. Second, everything changes. And the third, the law of cause and effect. So, the first one is nothing is loose in universe. The first universal truth of Buddha was nothing is loose in this universe. All solar system disintegrate into cosmic rays. We are the child of our parents, and we will be the parents of our children. Matter turns into energy. Energy turns into matter. A dead leaf turns into soil. A seed sprouts and becomes a new plant. We are born our parents, and our children are born of us. We are the same as plants, as trees, as other people, as the rain that falls. We consist of that which is around, and we are the same as everything. If we destroy something around us, we destroy ourselves. If we cheat another, we cheat ourselves. Understanding this truth. Okay, for the sample of that is, instead, let's just consider the vast spaces between stars and galaxies, or the gaps between atoms and other microscopic particles. When we talk about nothing in the vast reaches between of space, is not actually technically nothing. So imagine if we could remove all particles, energy, gravity, everything from a system, you'd be left with a true vacuum. Even at its lowest energy level, there are fluctuations in the quantum vacuum of the universe. There are quantum particles popping into out of existence throughout the universe. And let's proceed to number 2. Everything changes. The second universal truth of Buddha is that everything is continuously changing. Life is like a river flowing on and on, ever changing. Sometimes it flows slowly and sometimes to create a bright future. So, in the law of cause and effect, it is stated that for every effect there is a definite cause. Likewise, for every cause there's a definite effect. Your thoughts, behaviors, and actions create specific effects that manifest and create your life as you know it. If you're not happy with the effects you have created, then you must change the causes that created them in the first place. This means that everything that we currently have in our lives is an effect that is a result of the specific cause. These causes are the decisions we make and the action we take on a daily basis. Whether our decisions seem small and rather insignificant, or whether they are significant and transformational in nature, does not matter. Each and every decision we have made and action we have taken has set events into motion, creating predictable and specific effects that we are now experiencing in our lives. And that's the example of the law of cause and effects. And let's proceed to the 3 trainings and practices. So, what are the 3 trainings and practices? These 3 consist of Sala, Sadmahe, Prana. So, let's proceed to Sala. Sala is a virtue, good conduct, morality. This is based on 2 fundamental principles. The 2 fundamental principles are the principle of equality, that all living entities are equal. The principle of reciprocity. This is the golden rule in Christianity, to do unto others as you would wish them to do unto you. It is found in all major major religious. So, in the golden rule, we all know that if we do something to others, so as we know that they will do same as we do into them. So in Sadmahe, it is concentration, meditation, mental development, developing one's mind in the path of wisdom, which in turn leads to personal freedom, mental development, and strengthens and controls our mind. This helps us maintain good conduct. And the third, prana, it is a discernment, insight, wisdom, enlightenment. This is the real heart of Buddhism. Wisdom will emerge if your mind is pure and calm.
The 5 precepts in Buddhism. So, what is a precept? A precept is a guiding principle or rule that is used to control, influence, or regulate a conduct. So, an example of a precept is a commandment found in the 10 Commandments. However, ang precept, it is not the same as a commandment because ang commandment is like sugo jud siya nga kailangan natong tumanon, and ang precept is only a recommendation. So naara nato if sundon ba nato ang precept or dili. Now, the first precept is compassion to other living beings. The first precept involves not killing living beings. However, it is acceptable to kill harmful insects or slaughter animals for consumption. We need to be compassionate to all living beings, especially to human beings. So, kaning first precept, dapat maghatag tag balor sa kinabuhi sa tanang living beings, matao man or katong mga hayop, unless na lang kung kailangan yun nato mapatay for consumption. So, the second precept is to abstain from stealing. The Buddha wants us to never steal or deprive others of what is rightfully theirs. Hence, we should develop a sense of justice and fairness. So, this precept is very understandable to us since we are a part of Christian community, or most of us are part of the Christian community, and we also follow this one. So, in Buddhist philosophy or in Buddhism, they also follow this precept of not stealing. So, the third precept is the abstention from sexual misconduct. Do not misuse sex. We should avoid sexual harassment or exploitation by any means, even within a marriage. So, of course, we all know that exploitation is very bad. So, bisan pa og kasado na mo, but your partner doesn't want to do it, then you should respect his or her decision about that matter. So, the term sexual does not only mean sexual intercourse, but in the entirety of all senses, we should avoid excessive sexual and sensual satisfaction. So, an example of sensual satisfaction, syempre katong ganina, sex, and others are eating. So, it is necessary for us to eat. However, if we are already full, if busog na gali ta, then we should stop because it's bad. And another example is using gadgets. It's fine to use any gadget as long as kabulura mo kanas mo taman niya mogamit ana, or if dili na mo kailangan niya mogamit ana, then you should do other things so that your day is productive, so that your day will be productive. And that means that everything is good, but it became bad, or it will become bad if excessive na siya. So, to abstain from lying is the fourth precept. The Buddha encourages us to be truthful all the time and be kind and gentle when dealing with everyone. Meaning, we must avoid speaking falsely, pagpangdaot, pagpanglibak, oo ka na mga inana nga makadaot sa ubang tao, or simply ka na pagpamakak. Now, The fifth precept is to abstain from intoxicants. The Buddha wants us to avoid alcohol, cigarettes, and illegal drugs. So, the reason for that is in Buddhism, meditation is the key to achieving enlightenment, and the said intoxicants hinders oneself to attaining the nirvana or the state of enlightenment or a state of perfect happiness. So, 'di ba, if dili ta makapangita og kanang peace of mind if magsigira tag inom, magsigira tag panigarilyo kay ang mabutan sa atong mga utok ana is problem. So the five precepts gives us the idea of what is considered as morally right and morally wrong. However, they don't use the said terms. Instead, they call it skillful or kusala, what is right to us, and unskillful or akusala, what we consider as wrong.
Meditation being the key in gaining enlightenment in Buddhist Moral Philosophy. The practice of meditation. Meditation is a technique used for thousands of years to develop awareness of the present moment. It can involve practices to sharpen, focus, and attention, connect to the body and breath, develop acceptance of difficult emotions, and even alter consciousness. Focus meditation, movement meditation. So from the word meditation, it means to meditate. Meditate is an activity or practice of a person to think deeply or carefully. Well, meditation is not we usually do, but we are different from the Buddhists. Buddhists are really embraced in meditation activities, which is their practices of their way of beliefs. So, what is Buddhist meditation practice? Buddhist meditation is an invitation to turn one's awareness away from the world of activity that usually preoccupies us to the inner experience of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. The practice of meditation is consciously employing particular techniques that encourage these states to arise. So, Buddhist meditation is like empathizing yourself to be aware of your thought, feelings, and perceptions. Buddhist meditation, the practice of mental concentration leading ultimately through a succession of stages to the final goal of spiritual freedom, which is called Nirvana. Nirvana is the highest state that someone can attain, or a state of enlightenment, meaning a person's individual desires and suffering go away. What they mean is Nirvana is a place of perfect peace and happiness, like heaven. Widely observed practices include meditation, observance of moral precepts, monasticism. Monasticism is the way of living that's religious and self-discipline, and taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Dharma means truth realized and taught by the Buddha, and the Sangha means the disciples or the follower of the Buddha, and the cultivation of the paramitas, which is mean perfection or virtues. There are two main kinds of meditation in Buddhism. First one is Samatha Meditation and Vipassana Meditation. So Samatha Meditation, this is known as calming meditation, and Buddhists believe that it leads to deeper concentration. It is important as it follows Buddhists to let go of cravings and therefore achieve Nibbana or Nirvana. The basis of Samatha or mindfulness meditations is as follows. Sit in the comfortable meditation posture. Find a posture that doesn't hurt your back or knees. Keep your back straight and try to find a happy medium between too rigid and too relaxed. Observe your breath. You don't have to manipulate your breath. Use abdominal breathing or have long, deep in breaths and out breaths. Just breathe normally and pay attention to your breathing process, one breath at a time. Keep your awareness focused but be gentle. You should have an attitude of discovering and making friends with yourself. Acknowledge the thoughts that pop into your mind without engaging them. Simply observe them and let go. Come back to the breath. We call this touch and go. Let the thought arise. Touch on gently and then let it go. So, Samantha meditation is all about calmness and relies on the mindfulness of breathing. It means to breathe thoughtfully. The next one is Vipassana meditation. This is known as insight meditation. The Vipassana meditation technique. The Vipassana experience is built on the foundation of Samatha. Vipassana is usually translated as awareness practice or insight meditation. Once the mind has become comfortable with remaining mindful and letting go of distractions, we can use the ability to investigate the qualities of self, consciousness, and our perception of things. The more active, inclusive form of meditation than samatha or mindfulness. To practice vipassana in a way you can lead to deep insight about practice ourselves in the world. We need the guidance of an authentic teacher who can help us understand the method and recognize our strength and learning curves. So, vipassana, it involves observing our own thoughts and emotions as they are without judging or dwelling on them. So, Vipassana, it is different from Samatha because Samatha is all about calmness and breathing, while Vipassana is all about observing your own thoughts and emotion. One traditional way to present the main Buddhist meditation method is a twofold. Mindfulness on the one hand, which is Samatha, and awareness of insight meditation on the other, which is Vipassana. The classic term for this are Samatha and Vipassana. So, Buddhists should meditate because, as the Buddha once said, he who is mentally concentrated sees things according to reality.
Comparison between Western and Buddhism ethic model. In Western model of ethics, there are three main families of ethical theories. Number one is consequentialism. Consequentialism is a class of normative theological ethical theories that holds that the consequences of one's conduct are the ultimate basis for judgment about the rightness or wrongness of that conduct. Thus, from the consequentialist standpoint, a morally right act is one that will produce a good outcome. So, meaning consequentialist is based on outcome of your action. It will consider your action right or wrong based on your result of your action. Number two is deontology. Deontology is theory that suggests actions are good or bad according to a clear set of rules. Its names come from the Greek word deon, meaning duty. Actions that obey these rules are ethical, while actions that do not are not ethical. So meaning deontology is based on clear set of rules. It will consider your action as bad or good to a given set of rules. Like a courtroom, there's a rules like law. It's like that. Then number three is virtue ethics. Virtue ethics is person other than action based. It looks at the virtue or moral character of the person carrying out an action rather than at ethical duties and rules or the consequence of particular action. So, virtue ethics is based on naman siya sa moral character of the person doing the action or the duties. Then, the three families of theories offers different responses to intrinsic value. Consequentialism seeks to promote it, then deontology to respect it, and virtue ethics to embody it. We're going to naman sa Buddhism model of ethics. In Buddhism, wait, wait. In Buddhism model of ethics,
there are 5 Precept Buddha advises abstinence. Number one is harming living being. Number two is taking things not freely given. Number three, sexual misconduct. Number four, false speech. And number five is intoxicating drinks and drugs causing heedlessness. Sa five sa gihatag ni Buddha, muna siya ikuan. Ito basihan sa mga hindi na ito dapat himuon ba? Murang inana. Then the Buddhist tradition acknowledges that the life is complex and throws up many difficulties, and it does not suggest that there is a single course of action that will be right in all circumstances. Indeed, other than speaking of action being right or wrong, Buddhism speaks of the being skillful or kusala or unskillful or akusala. Then, to live is to act, and actions can have either harmful or beneficial consequences from oneself and others. Buddhist ethics is concerned with the principle and practices that help one to act in ways that help rather than harm. So meaning, ang Buddhist hatag siya mga principles nga makatabang nimo nga para makatabang sa lain dili para maka-harm sa lain. Then the noble eightfold paths to enlightenment consist of cultivating the following. Cultivating the followings are right view, number two, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right efforts, right mindfulness, and the last is right concentration. So, muna siya ikuan enlightenment sa Buddhism. Ang pagkaparehas nilang sa Western model of ethics o kasang Buddhism model of ethics is like Greek virtue ethics. Buddhism ethics is also humanistic and thoroughly personalist. The Buddha started with individual people and the conditions of their souls. Instead of 8 universal rules for living, they should be seen as virtue. Then disposing to act in certain ways under certain conditions. So, ang pagkaparehas lang sa Western o sa Buddhism kay parehas lang humanistic. So meaning gabase kuan ba? Gabase sila sa human rights. And that's all.
In summary of all our presentation, Buddhism encourages people to avoid self-indulgence through the guidance of the Noble Eightfold Path, the 5 Precepts, and the 4 Noble Truths, and the 3 Universal Truths. These beliefs and practices are aimed solely at liberating sentient beings from suffering, or what we discussed earlier in the first slides. It is about removing or blowing out, thus achieving Nirvana. That is all, and thank you.